Welcome everybody to another episode of The Misplay. I am Josh.
I'm Tyler.
And this is the podcast where we talk about anything and everything TCG related. Everything that we've been playing, everything that we've experienced, all of our thoughts on all the TCGs.
Everything we've also not been playing.
Yes, there's a lot we have not been playing because Elden Ring exists.
Elden Ring has sort of taken over us for the past month.
But you've finished for the most part.
Yeah,
we're up to the
final
last
boss
boss or something.
Yeah.
So soon we'll be freed of our shackles.
Yeah, we're no longer tarnished.
Yes, no longer tarnished.
Yeah.
We'll become Elden Lord and we can start playing our TCGs again.
Yeah, I'm excited to not feel the burden of having to beat it, to not see spoilers.
Yeah, it's been difficult trying to dodge it.
Couldn't even go on YouTube half the time without accidentally seeing a spoiler.
Because I would bring stuff to your attention because I've accidentally seen it. It's been in like article titles or thumbnails. Mm-hmm. You can't escape it. So you'll be free soon. I should be free by the end of next week.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
I feel like you'll be free by the time this comes out.
Probably not. I'm not going to be playing it this weekend. Ooh. This weekend we will be playing YGO, my friend.
Yes, we will. And a bit's happened in YGO. What do you want to get in first? So we've moved off decks. We've got new decks. And we've had one side set come out. What do you want to jump into first?
Can we first talk about the set which we do not care for at all? Let's get it out the way.
The set that everyone's been hating on, and rightly so.
Hidden Arsenal.
Yes.
It was Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1, I believe.
Yeah,
it's a side set. It contains a bunch of the cards from the Dual Terminal storyline. Mm-hmm. Lore-wise, very, very cool. I think it's interesting.
Yep.
But competitive-wise, it may be the worst set I've ever seen.
And casual-wise?
Even casually, yes.
Yes, it is pretty much the worst set we've ever seen.
So when we speak about casually, if you guys are familiar with what we do, we run pure variants of every single deck we run. So if we run Dragon Maid, it's limited to Dragon Maid cards in the extra deck.
Yes.
It's pretty much the best way to sum it up. And no hand traps for the most part, maybe one or two here and there.
Yeah.
So very, very pure variants at their core.
Yep.
So we get very excited for deck build sets, because it means it's 3 new archetypes that we can build from the ground up and run them pure.
Yeah.
We get excited for sets like Burst of Destiny because they often have really good support for a lot of the decks we run.
Yep.
Battle of Chaos was quite similar.
Big. Those are the 2 huge sets for us who've come out recently, these mainline sets.
So that sets, kind of the idea for what we're wanting. Mm-hmm. Deck build sets and even those mainline sets that just throw the odd support card in, which really elevate the deck. Because we'll be going through some of the new decks and the support cards you've gotten for some of your old decks, but Hidden Arsenal has single-handedly done nothing. So,
cool. I love how you said that it single-handedly did nothing.
Nothing. So, I'm always a fan of reprinting old archetypes.
Yes.
Love it. But without support to bring it up to, I guess, modern kind of play, even a tier below.
Even playable.
It's so immensely outdated and did not get support.
Yes, and I also just want to state that reprinting old cards that have a high market price is good. Reprinting the Fabled cards didn't need to be done.
What was it, like Fabled, Naturia, garbage. They're like 10 to 20 cents per card.
Yeah.
The old Ice Barrier cards are worth nothing.
Trash, yeah.
Just a bunch of these cards are worth absolutely nothing. So reprinting them again is not going to help any kind of card on the market.
Yeah.
There is one card that got reprinted and everyone's now calling it the Skill Drain set.
Yes, because that's the only reason people cared, because Skill Drain, it was a reprint.
Yeah, that's
it.
Would pretty much be, whether you're playing meta or not, Skill Drain is very good in our competitive casual meta. Mm-hmm. So that's the one card out of the entire... There's not even a Monster Reborn. I don't even think there's an MST. I can't remember. There really is nothing in this set. And even if you did print MST or Twin Twisters, they're in like every structure deck anyway.
Yeah.
So you're not going to buy a booster pack hoping to pull that. You'd be hoping to pull Skill Drain and none of the other cards.
Yeah, you have like a 1 in 200 chance. I have many cards are worth to get the card you want and to get the chase card.
And even then, it's quite cheap.
Yeah.
when it first came out, pre-orders were like $20 for the card.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Which is
you know?
cheaper than buying a pack of Hidden Arsenal.
It's just, overall, just buy a copy, don't buy the pack.
Yeah.
So it's just very confusing. And I said this to you previously when we were first talking about Hidden Arsenal as a set. I like the idea of it.
Yes.
I think, and Konami doesn't do this anymore, and I understand that this is a very niche thing, but they used to do like the draft sets and the Battle City sets. And that essentially just get a bunch of boxes of them. They have like X amount of packs in there. You and your buddies gather around a table. It's board game night. Everyone gets a pack, one card, pass it along, etc. So everyone's drafting. It's fun. You don't have to worry about having a meta-relevant deck.
Yeah.
Even us, we don't have to worry about if this deck's even finished.
Yeah.
It's a level playing field.
Yeah.
And that's what this feels like. This almost feels like these cards would be great for
In
like
a
a draft
set.
kind of thing.
Yeah, if you and your buddies go around, each person picks an archetype and you play it against each other. But there's also not enough cards to make a full deck.
Yes, there's also that issue. Like, it feels very half-assed. It feels like some of it's a good idea. Most of this really doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I wish, because we were talking about mission statements at work, right? And I wish Konami put out a mission statement with this. What is the intent of this?
I would like to know too.
Yeah.
I genuinely have no idea.
Because intent is so important. Because you can understand it with mainland sets, with deck build sets. What is the intent with this side set?
Yeah, I've never struggled to understand the intention for sets. Like,
Yes.
Even when we were talking about grand creators, we weren't a fan of that. We understood why they were doing what they were doing. Didn't sit with us very well, obviously.
But we could understand what they were doing
Made
from a
sense.
business perspective.
This doesn't make any sense.
From any
at all.
perspective.
It really doesn't. Like these cards, if you're printing a bunch of old archetype cards, just put in a funky set. What is it? The speed duel stuff.
Yeah.
Put it in that. Like it feels like a speed duel set
Yeah.
almost.
And I have no issue with speed duel cards because it's just a slight variation on a standard card.
And it's its own format.
Yeah, it's its own format. It's completely different.
Because these cards are decade old.
They're not runnable in any sort of current thing at all. Even against bad current decks, like I'm running Libromancer, which we'll get into a bit, which would stomp any of these.
Easily.
And Libromancer as an archetype is not finished, but it doesn't matter. Fable don't do anything.
They wouldn't do anything. Naturia don't really do anything except that one card. Also, before I'm going to end the tangent now, because
Yeah.
we could go on and on about how much this set doesn't make sense.
And we have.
But I hate this rarity too. It's the worst.
Yeah.
I was doing mental tier lists in my head. As
Of
you
course
do.
you do.
And-
No, as you do.
And I was like, what would be S tier, A tier, etc. What would be bottom tier? It's this rarity. This and Shadowfoil.
Yeah.
It's gross. It looks lazy. There's no foreground and background. So there's just nothing about this set that, to me personally, is worth anything.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
get it.
not worth the cardboard it's printed on.
No, it really isn't.
That's bad. And that's bad.
They just should have printed aroma support.
Yeah. Like, I
It's
remember
aroma support.
when we looked... Don't even get me started. But we looked on Nakajo when the set came out. And Nakajo is an Australian retailer, for those who don't know. We can buy a bunch of their stuff off Nakajo. If Nakajo, if you're listening, sponsor us. But the Fabled... You can buy all the Fabled cards. A playset of every Fabled card, which is like 60 for like $10.
Yes. Playsets of everything.
Yes. And that was the
$10.
one of the most expensive things on Nakajo.
Because I wonder...
I sorted by price.
The interesting thing, because I've looked into many different TCGs throughout my time, and a lot fail because they do bad sets early on, and then local game stores pick up an abundant amount of them thinking they'll sell, and they don't. And then they never restock their stuff ever again, that particular TCG, because it's a risk at that point. Obviously, this isn't it. Game stores know that YGO sets will sell.
Yu-Gi-Oh
This
sell.
will not,
Yeah.
this set. And I'm interested to see if any game stores were aware of this.
Yeah.
We have a local card store which mainly specializes in sports trading cards.
Yep.
So I wonder if they knew that this set was just going to be utter garbage.
I'm pretty sure...
I hope so.
I'm pretty sure they would know because they've, one of their guys opens fucking boxes, right? He opens pallets. What are they? Crates. What are they called?
Cases.
Cases.
Said every word under the sun except the one you needed.
He opens cases if there's like a big chase car, if it goes to the pass or whatever. It's 100% he knew. He's like, this shit ain't working. Buy like 5 boxes. Buy a case for the shop and that's it.
Yeah.
If that.
And I can't even see that selling a case.
Eventually.
Like, it's got to be so far down where people forget what this set is.
Yes.
Because I remember when I was looking at like some news agencies when I had to pick up my brother from school back in the day. And we'd stop by there and there'd be star packs. And they were very old by that point. I was like, what's that? It was like $3 for a pack. We'll get a couple. And that was a shadow foil pack. So I was disappointed. But you forget at some point.
Like World Superstars.
That's what will happen. It'll be a World Superstar shadow foil pack for the ages.
And it'll be on sale.
Yes. But anyway.
But, yes.
That's our rant out the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rest in peace, Hidden Arsenal.
Yeah, dead on arrival.
I want to get into some exciting stuff.
Okay. Do you want to start us off? Because I don't know what you're going to talk about.
So, we've built some new decks. And some of our existing decks have got an immense amount of support.
Yes.
One I want to start, I want you to talk about it.
Okay.
Because I'm very happy with how you've done it. Mm-hmm. Ghost Trick just got a new wave of support in one of the recent sets.
Yeah.
And initially, we thought they were hot garbage.
Yeah, dead on arrival.
Sewerage, it was horrible.
Yeah.
But then you said, no, I'm a man of conviction.
Yeah.
And you got it to work.
So you say a man of conviction, other people would say stubborn.
Stubborn.
I am stubborn. We tried 2 different variations that day, and I was very downbeaten. I felt defeated. And I said, fuck this. I'm going to figure it out. And I was like, okay, I got to do the dishes, right? Let me get the dishes. That whole time I was doing dishes, my brain was in Ghost Trick. And I'm like, okay, if I get 3 of that and 3 of that, 3 of that, 3 of that. I was literally putting together a mental deck list, right? And I'm like, I literally stopped what I was doing mid-dishes, took my dish gloves off, chucked them away. I was like, I need to build a deck right now. I've got the deck list in my brain. And I did it. And I tested it 10 times. And I won every time. And I was like, I messaged you immediately. Even though I just saw you like an hour prior. And I'm like, get on Ignis Pro. Get on YGO Pro right now. I need to test this.
So, for reference, we tried testing version 1 with the new support of Ghost Trick against pure Springans. Springans are quite garbage, but Springans ran through them.
Yes.
So, the first set we ran was Springans, same deck, same build, against your new version of Ghost Trick.
And you didn't get to play.
I couldn't do anything.
And I was like, okay, cool. Maybe I just got a good hand. We went again. You didn't get to play. And
it was rough.
I somehow made Ghost Tricks consistent, doing essentially pure Ghost Tricks with... See, I'd essentially just run 3 of like all the new trap trick... Ghost Trick. We'll get into trap tricks in a bit. I'm at another point with that. I'm at another stubborn point. But 3 of everything trap trick and just said, I want to make, if I can make this as consistent as possible, I can find the power. Because making consistency in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is fucking tough.
And it's the name of the game. Like, before anything else, the deck needs to be consistent.
Yes.
In order to win, it needs to be consistent.
Yes, because you need to be able to, if you're a control deck, you need to be able to get into your control turn 1 every turn. If you're an OTK deck, you need to get into your kill turn 1 every turn. So if it's not consistent, it ain't going to work. So it was like, I need to make this consistent first time, every time. And I did. And then I was like, okay, where's the power coming from? And I sort of worked it out on the fly. So we went from thinking the new trap was absolute hot garbage, why would you ever run this, to, oh, that's my power card.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, the trap card is basically an Omni-Negate, but your opponent can stop the effect from activating if they pay 2,000 life points.
Yeah.
So on the surface level, I'll just pay the 2,000.
And if you pay 2k life points, it flips it back down.
Yeah, so it's active for the next turn. So surface level, I'm like, I'll just take 2,000.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't want to be negated. But it turns out that's quite lethal.
Yes, if I do that, plus a bit of Ghost Trick damage, plus some Solemns, I can get 2 to 3 interrupts per turn, and I can get into that through Trap Trick, the trap card.
The interesting thing, because obviously it works with Trap Trick, the fact that Ghost Tricks inherently can stall quite well, which means if I can't push through that barricade of Ghost Trick monsters and cards, then that trap card will very quickly whittle me away. It only needs to go off 4 times before it... I mean, if I take
lethal on its own is 4 turns.
4 turns to be pure lethal, and that is up to me. But if I'm not taking that damage, you're getting a negate.
Yeah, I'm getting
almost
an
every
interrupt.
turn. And that's bad for me.
But
you
yeah,
know?
it's weird because we thought, you remember, like, I'll just pay 2K. I don't care. It's garbage.
It's the fact that initially it was overlooked because, obviously pay 2,000, not negated, that's fine. But the fact it set itself, so it's live again the very next turn, and searchable, which
Multiple times
that's the consistency
searchable.
about
Yeah.
your build. So if you can get both of those off on a card that does a load of burn damage or an Omni Negate, you're in a good spot. So that deck is completely changed now from what it was. It used to be a mill deck. Now it's not. It has some of the cards just to help stall.
Yeah.
But overall, you've got, I think, a much more consistent win condition.
100%. And even the way I was using that card in testing was wrong. I was using it as like last resort negate. Now I'm using it as the first wall. You know exactly what's going to be there. If you pay it, pay 2K, Book of Moon.
Yeah.
You paid it, still, here's the trick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just layers on layers on layers.
And it's fun.
It's
It's
fun
to play against.
I still need to order a few more cards here and there. I haven't had I've just been so sidetracked with other stuff, but I have the exact deck list at home. I'm a few cards away from having that ready to run.
I'm excited to see them. For those that don't know, we run 2 tournaments a year, one every 6 months.
Yeah.
It's just us two, but we go through our top 8 decks that we feel are ready for that tournament. Ghost Trick have never really been a part of that.
No.
And I would very much like to see them a part of that. So it's going to be, up there with the potentially competing against the Sky Strikers, the Dragon Maids, things like that.
Yeah.
Will it win? Probably not.
Probably not.
But I'm hoping it gives a good showing.
Yes, absolutely. That's all I can really hope for from a deck that went from unplayable to can give a good showing.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess one of we'll get into some new decks that we've actually built, because Ghost Trick you've had from the very beginning.
Yes.
And now it's actually gotten a
re-up.
good wave of support. You've been very patient. But some of the new decks we've built are actually quite interesting.
Absolutely.
The main one, which has been extremely exciting for me, has been Dinomorphia.
Shocking.
They've been quite scary out of the gate, honestly.
And I didn't expect it.
Neither did I. It really wasn't like... I played it in EDO, and it was like, cool, this could be quite oppressive. And then we did a rough build in real life, and this was just like a mass order of all the cards, and then we put some random
You
cards.
just throw it all together.
Yeah, it really wasn't finished, but
It's jambalaya. You just chuck it in and see what happens.
yeah, but it's really consistent without its future support already.
It's crazy because you'll have like 3 to 4 interrupts per turn.
Yes. Yep. And and it's interesting because I guess let's talk about trap tricks when we're talking about Dinomorphia, because you've rebuilt trap tricks.
Yes, I'm reading up
Both
trap tricks.
pure trap decks. Okay?
Yes.
So one thing I've noticed between the two is trap tricks tend to rely on your opponent's summoning stuff for the most part.
Yes, because we're based on the trap hole cards and normal traps.
Yes. So if I go to clear back row with trap tricks, there's not a lot you can do.
I have no response.
Yes.
With their in archetype cards.
Yeah, which is just, we're trying to utilize trap hole, and I think that's super neat.
Yeah.
When it comes to Dinomorphia, they can generally be activated in response to something. It's not in regards to a particular kind of action.
Yes.
And I think that's what allows it to get ahead.
I think so. And I think if you think about one of our other super strong trap tricks, Altergeist, it has that similar thing.
Yes, that's a good comparison.
And that's the way I think about it, is like trap tricks, I'm waiting for you to summon. And if you do summon, yes, I can make you pay, I can interrupt, I can this, that, the third. But Dinomorphia, you can react off any action, essentially.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a really good way to put it. I like the Altergeist comparison. And the way it feels now, Altergeist have very much so lingering control. It's
Yes.
very frustrating to play against sometimes in a good way. It's always, how can I break this Altergeist board? Dinomorphia is very much very quick jabs.
Yes. Death by 1,000 cuts.
Yes. When Vextrom comes out, he's going to be a topic of discussion, because I then think he kind of makes it similar to Altergeist.
Mm-hmm.
He's a very powerful lingering effect. Potentially, I can see that card amping this archetype up to the point where he may potentially see some level of competitive play.
Interesting.
He's a what's it? True King of all calamities.
Okay.
Who's banned.
Gotcha.
Basically that.
For the archetype.
In archetype. Yes.
Gotcha.
That I can summon at any point.
I see that.
So this archetype already, quite bare bones.
Yeah.
It's better now than what it was.
Yeah.
And I think in the tournament that we run, it's going to be very, very exciting. But I think once it gets support as well with Vextrum and its other fusion trap, this is going to be a very, very powerful deck.
It is a deck that warrants me. Warrants me. It's a deck that concerns me. Like, it's really good. And it was good right off the bat. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a fucking pain in my ass. Because, like, OTK decks and decks that run through me, they're not as frustrating to go against as control decks. And it's just like, okay, is this what it felt like playing against Altergeist all that time?
Yeah, like, because I didn't see the comparison until now. So, yeah, it was a good thing. It's kind of feel like now you get to go up against an Altergeist-like trap deck.
Yeah, and I see it. And you've told me what Vextrum does. Do I remember? No.
Do you want, I'll give you one. It does one effect.
Sure.
Well, it has two, but I'll give you one. The one that matters. Quick effect. So any turn, any point, I can make all your monsters' attack become equal to my current life points, which is generally going to be very, very low.
200, 100.
And you can't activate monster effects with the attack of equal or more.
Yeah.
Or less.
Yeah. Okay.
So very, very good. Quick effect, turn off all your monster effects. Yeah. But mine is still active.
Harpy's Featherstorm, just...
It's a Featherstorm.
Yeah. And that's very good. Featherstorm is kind of busted. Like, when you play Harpies, if you open a Featherstorm...
It shuts you down for a turn.
Yeah, which a lot of time could be game.
Yeah, and the thing with Vextrum, that's his Japanese name right now, because it's a quick effect, is just as long as it's on the field every turn.
Yeah.
I can do it. So, whereas Featherstorm, my Harpy build is built around trying to get that in the hand. If I get that in the hand, I am in a pretty good spot.
So it does create a bit of a funnel, as I was like, okay, just going to make sure you don't get Vextrum on the field. But, every deck needs a funnel point, essentially. So they are very good. I'm excited to see how they do in the tournament. I'm excited to see how they evolve over time.
Yeah, I'm super excited for them. I didn't think I'd be this excited for them.
You almost didn't build them.
It was in the set, and I was like, I'll do it. All the cards are in this set.
That's how I felt about Libromancer.
Yeah, and so far, fingers crossed. Let's talk about Libromancer. They're not as good as Dinomorphia.
No.
Inherently, ritual decks struggle unless you're Drytron.
But they are the most consistent deck I may have ever played.
Very consistent.
It's ridiculous. So this is my first ritual deck. I built them on a whim because, again, all the cards are in there. Screw it. Like, I might as well. And the ritual spell is the field spell. I don't like just slight off topic. I don't like the trend of field spells being loaded and so pivotal to the archetype.
It's rough because we had that with Generator, which we may talk about soon.
Yeah.
A lot of the archetypes which we run actually, like Hidden City in Subterra, that's a very expensive card because the whole archetype revolves around it for the most part.
I hate it.
It's not great. I love a good field spell.
Yes. But when the deck doesn't run without it, ruins it. Same with Warrock.
Yeah, Warrock. You thought Warrock were bad? Run them without the field spell.
Yes.
You're not going to be able to do anything. You get like one normal summon and that's it.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
But Libromancer are one of the most consistent decks I've ever played. They don't have the power yet, but they're also not done. And you can feel it. Like, they're missing cards. They can search anything, any spell, anytime, but they've only got one spell.
Yes.
They can search any trap anytime, but they've only got one trap. Where it's like, okay, well, we're missing a monster, a spell, and a trap at least. Probably an extra deck monster. I'd like an extra deck monster.
You'll get another ritual monster because I know you've got both the dudes. They have the ritual variants. The gal does not, so
Correct.
I assume she'll get a ritual variant.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, ritual decks don't get extra monsters.
Yeah.
Extra deck monsters. Like Drytron was quite surprising when they got an Xyz monster.
Yeah.
So I mean, Necrolls don't have a single one.
I probably won't. Like, they're not the same levels. There's no tuners. So if anything, maybe a link, but I don't see it. Maybe
Hopefully,
a fusion.
Fingers crossed, the new retro monster you get is just True King of all calamities.
Yeah. I just get Libro Vextrum.
I like the higher level ritual monster, Doom Broker.
Yes.
Doom Broker. He's really good.
He's very good.
But Firestarter is not.
Yes.
I don't see the point of Fire. He feels like a 2004 2014 card.
Yeah, 2014, 2016. Again, like there's no power card. None of the cards are inherently super strong. It's not like, oh, hey, he's got the fire starter on the field. It's a pickle for me. No, they're just very consistent and they can re-up each turn. But I don't have... Like, the trap's good. And the Doombroker gets you the trap and everything. But there's just no power in the deck. But I can find the power. The power will come. The consistency is king. Consistency must come first.
Yeah, Konami always, it's consistent right now. Konami always print the actual really good support later on.
Yep.
90% of the time. So fingers crossed that's what they've done here.
I'm fine with that. I know there's support coming out in the new set.
Yeah, I mean, well, speaking of support as well, that's changed, like life-changing for certain archetypes. Exosister is a deck I bought and built as soon as I could.
Mm-hmm.
They're quite rough. They're better than I thought they would be in our meta.
Yeah.
They actually can hold some decks really just down.
It feels like very matchup dependent.
Yeah, but when they're getting a new Xyz monster, which is very good because then it allows for double banish combos, which is always fun. Then it's also getting an extra trap and an extra not normal monster, effect monster in the main deck.
Support.
I wasn't expecting those two cards as support. I was expecting the Xyz. The trap is an additional soft bounce, banish, I believe. So if I activate it, every time I Xyz an Exosystem monster, I can banish a card on the field. Extremely strong. The other one, the main deck monster, basically is just a special... It's a single card combo, if I recall correctly. And that's immensely helpful in a deck that I felt was a bit slow because it had to rely on some other cards. I believe it special summons one from the deck, if I recall correctly. So 3 phenomenal cards for an archetype which is performing better than you and I both thought.
It didn't need it. It's very, very helpful, very thankful, but it didn't need 3.
Didn't need 3. I'd be happy with just 2 of the 3.
Yeah, you'd be happy with 1. But the fact you got 3, great.
It's wild. They've really just given support out of nowhere for a lot of archetypes. And I mean, I guess Exosisters must have sold pretty well to get 3 really good cards.
Well, you got to remember, it was Exosister, Punk, and Token. Right? Oh, sorry, Brave.
Punk got 2 really good support cards.
Yep, incredible. We'll get into that. I probably won't because I'm still waiting to really test Punk out and learn it all. But Brave is smashing OCG, smashing TCG. Punk is like an engine deck.
It's consistent, but there's no hyper power card for it in archetype.
So they're putting it... So meta people are putting it with other archetypes, right? And then Exosister is the one that needed the love the most meta-wise. For us, not really. We don't play Brave because we don't have a spare, 600 plus bucks. But it's good that it was the least strong out of the 3, and they just gave it 3 good cards. I don't know. Just go for it.
It's just really freaking good.
It is great.
I'm a big fan of it. So I can see them being quite deadly in the tournament, like the main deck card. So the big thing which holds Exosisters back, and it's the last thing I'll say about Exosisters before we move on, but they absolutely rely on your opponent moving cards from either graveyard. If you move cards from the graveyard or make your opponent move cards from the graveyard, it doesn't work. Your opponent's card effects, or them doing it, that has to proc. The new main deck monster just says if a card leaves the graveyard.
Yes.
So it can be me as per the translation right now, which is very, very exciting because all of a sudden it's always live.
It's always live. And that's terrifying.
It's really fun.
For decks that move around materials from graveyard to deck, like imagine that against Madolche.
Oh yeah. Yeah, every time.
Yep. Boom, 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 boom. And certain decks, it's fucked. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see the evolution they come across and the tech cards you pair. Because that's always really interesting. When cards get support, you can find new tech cards to pair with it.
Yeah, because all of a sudden now I can...
Another avenue, another path has opened up for
Absolutely.
you.
It's cool.
Very excited they got support. Very excited to see them.
Are there any... did you want to talk about vampires at all, or...
No, Vampires got a lot better. Again, they're not still perfect. They have a lot of issues, but Vampire Ghost is incredible. That is some of the best support I've ever seen for a classic.
It's insane how good Vampire Ghost is.
Yeah. S-Force is good. Is it perfect? No, but I'm happy with support. Even if support is bad, I'm happy for support.
And S-Force actually had a good showing last time we played.
Yeah, I edited them a little bit, but I need more time to properly sit down. I feel like S-Force need perfect ratios at this point to really have them excel, and I don't have time for that. So I'll need to sit down and really just like work out the perfect ratios and make them excel. But it's good support. Is it as good as Vampire? No. But does it need anything as strong as Vampire got? No.
There won't be much more left in the podcast. I'm not going to talk about the Albaz structure deck because when we get actual hands on it and I actually build them, then I can actually talk about them. I'm super, super excited for it. The one thing I did want to say, if there are no other decks you want to talk about. So I know in the grand scheme of things it may be small, but Crueler just got a new card.
Yes.
And I put this on my notes for this pod.
Yeah.
Got a new card. It's very, very good for pure Crawlers. Basically, automatically gets you into its link, which is very, very good.
One card combo.
The interesting thing about this, we get a Crawler card out of nowhere. And I've been wanting World Legacy support for quite some time. I've wanted Crusadia support for quite some time. That whole lore thing, I like all the cards involved in that. They're super interesting.
You played Crusadia and World Legacy.
Yes. This indicates to me, because this is coming out in Power the Elements as of right now.
Yes.
Potentially, we may be getting some interesting new support for some of these old beloved archetypes, like World Legacy, World Chalice, Crusadia, whatever it is. That's a really exciting thing. I don't know why they released Crawler first, because that's definitely the worst of the bunch. But the fact that they got it, it gives hope, man.
It does.
I'm super excited.
Hope. This slipped under the radar, slightly off topic, slightly on topic. Did you see the TCG announcement for Power of the Elements?
Yes and no. It depends what it is.
The TCG exclusive archetype coming out in Power of the Elements?
No.
That makes use of a unique type of monster.
I don't think I've seen this.
So it fell under the radar. It didn't get much thick on like the Yu-Gi-Oh! Reddit. It wasn't super plastered everywhere. But it used the term like unique type of monster. So people were thinking, oh, maybe it's like a Pyro Fire Sea Serpent or like Earthwing Beast or something like that, or possibly Spirits, Unions, something like that. A TCG exclusive that does something new.
Interesting. Yeah, I've really not heard this.
Yeah, so that's all they're going to announce. Just a unique type of monster. I think type was the word.
I can see this becoming a very interesting set.
Yeah.
We've got some interesting sets coming up. They've really, like, the more cards which get announced for Power of the Elements, the more exciting it is. It's going to be a very expensive set at some point because there's a lot of hero support. Hero cards are just expensive for no damn reason.
Yeah.
So I can see it just being expensive in general. But there'll be certain cards in there. Hopefully they've got some World Chalice stuff in there, which we haven't seen forever. Because they were like, when Links kind of first came out,
and they were still figuring Links out, how Konami wanted to go down that path.
Because World Chalice as a whole is quite outdated.
Yes.
It's cool that Crusadia still see play every now and then. And what is it? Mech Knights as well.
Yes, Mech Knights.
They see
still
quite a
get
lot
some
of play.
love.
Yeah. So hopefully we can see them come back. I think YGO's in a good point for the most part. Besides Brave Token's really, like, if you're playing competitive, you've kind of got to have it in there. And I know Sword Soul was kind of like the best deck at some point. I know Tri Brigade is always successful in high tier meta. But it is interesting to see when you look at the brackets. I don't follow the meta. I don't play meta all that much, but I do like seeing like the top 16 decks, and I like seeing like Shadow Fusion invoke stuff. I like seeing a variant of Adamancipator. I like seeing a variant of Madolche. I love seeing old variants of Eldritch. I love seeing the vast majority of decks, and people tend to shit on meta all the time because it is meta scumbags. They're just net decking all the time. But I think it's in a good spot. Like, looking from the outside in, obviously there are cards which are going to be ran in every single deck, but the archetypes for a whole, it's quite varied and it's cool to see.
Absolutely. Like, there's always a typical like an infograph on Reddit somewhere about like top 16 OCG, top 16 TCG. And it's interesting because there's like obviously 30% to 40% is the best deck right now, whatever it is. But then you get to see, there was 5% Madolche players. There was a couple Adamancipator, whatever decks. There was, Eldritch decks. There was Synchron decks, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Makes me proud in a way. Like, where one of my decks that I'm currently running pure do see some competitive play, obviously as a competitive build, but it's cool
Other
to
people
see.
believe
I
in
like it. I guess the last thing I want to say, one of the deck building sets which we're now looking forward to, which
Yes.
will probably be end of this year or maybe next year,
The weirdest flip around.
Tactical Masters or whatever it's called.
Yeah. So yeah, say something because I want to say
So
something too.
3 archetypes.
Yeah.
Which is Mystery, Labyrinth, and Valiance.
Yes.
One's Pendulum, one's a spell deck,
Yeah.
spell card deck. The other maybe a trap card deck. That's what
It
we're
is a
going
trap
for.
card deck.
Okay, there haven't been
Everything
too
got
many.
shown.
There haven't been too many crazy cards.
Yes.
Like when I looked at Dinomorph, it was like this is a trap deck. When I was looking at Labyrinth, I'm like it's a trap deck. It's I had a different
It's when
feel.
everything connects up.
Yep.
There's not power cards, but when everything connects up, that's it.
Yes. So tying into this our discussion with like some of the top 16, Mystery and the OCG have been immensely successful,
Which is wild.
and people are now starting to get excited about them in the TCG, which I think is a good thing.
Yes.
Because-
an alternate play style because they're a mill deck.
Yes, which has never seen success.
Never.
Ever. And the fact that they have seen a modicum of success in the OCG already is a good sign for the TCG.
Yes. But there's also the concern. So this is a whole nother topic, and it's a topic I learned about through fighting games. Is in fighting games. So this is slight off topic. In fighting games, if Zangief, which is a grappler in Street Fighter, is the best character in the game is not in a good state. In trading card games and in Yu-Gi-Oh, if a mill deck is the best deck, if it somehow works out to be the best deck, Yu-Gi-Oh is not in a good state, which is why they never make mill decks good.
Yes. Playing against burn decks and mill decks are probably the two most infamous for being unfun to play against.
Yes.
And it makes sense as to why. It's pretty straightforward. But I don't think it's going to be the best deck.
No.
I want it to be competitive. I want it to be somewhat successful.
Yeah.
I don't want to see all archetypes in a deck building set become unsuccessful. The only time that really did happen was Ancient Guardians. None of those decks are successful.
God, that was
Flop. Yeah, that was a big flop. And it's one where we were quite looking forward to. I was especially. But we've already seen, obviously, Brave Token being in Grand Creators makes it automatically a successful set.
True.
And I can see Mystery potentially being the best of this one.
Yeah.
I do see Valiance being a pendulum deck. There are rumors that Electromite or whatever it is will come back,
Okay.
which is like the pendulum link. Doesn't matter for us, but competitive-wise, makes it more playable.
Matters for us if we play heavy metal foes.
Yeah. But then, obviously, if Electromite comes back competitively, all the other pendulum decks would be better off. It's not going to be Valiance. But I'm excited. I thought Mistroom was a cool thing to bring up because they're seeing success.
New variables is always fun.
Yes.
We will end it there.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Longer than I thought it would go. We can always ramble.
We are good talkers.
Yes, we
You
are.
could put an apple in front of us and we'll talk about the apple for an hour and a half.
Yes, we can. I was thinking about apples the other day.
Of course you fucking are. Just end the podcast.
That's
End
it.
the podcast.
But yeah, so that's another episode of The Misplay. I hope you guys enjoy it. We've been putting up a variety of content recently.
Yes.
Obviously, we have pure deck builds. It's pretty much the only deck builds we're going to be doing.
Yep.
We've started to get live duels. After this, we're going to be recording a batch of live duels.
Yes, we
which
are.
always fun to record. We had an interview with Chris from the Grand Archive dev team.
Absolutely.
He was really gracious to just lend us some time, and we asked some really cool questions.
Yep.
Go check that out. Sorry for the audio issues, but we'll be better prepared next time.
It is what it is.
Yeah, but loads of stuff coming. We'll continue doing this. If there's anything that you guys want to see, let us know. We're still working on that Ice Barrier deck build. I promised to that one guy in the comment section it will be around at some point. It's quite rough. But that'll do it from us. Take care, guys.